What's up, guys? It's Dynasty for the Mountaintops. I'm Mickey. Of course, here with Jimmy. Jeremy is getting ready to go to Disney, so he's out for the next 2 weeks. So you get to hear me and Jimmy talk about a lot of draft talk coming up. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited because I get to speak more these next 2 weeks. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, we can get your word quota in the next couple weeks here, since we haven't gotten it the last few. So we're going to get started because it's going to be a shorter show. We kind of strapped for time here. We're going to jump right into the combine. The combine was this past weekend. I believe it started on Wednesday with kickers and stuff like that. We don't have to talk about them. But Thursday through Sunday was all the players that mattered. So, Jim, I know you wanted to start with the tight ends. So go ahead.
I still think it's a very deep class. I just don't think it's as elite as we thought it was going in, based off metrics, right? I think everything that we're going to talk about, take with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think, Warren and Loveland. Loveland. They didn't test, so that was a little disappointing. But I think the biggest disappointment of the tight ends is that Texas guy that what was his name?
Helm.
Huh?
Helm. He was horrible.
Yeah, he's not elite in anything, and
no.
Data statistics tell us that he's going to be average to below average at best. So that was kind of disappointing. Knocked one guy off from that realm, but I wanted to see more out of Warren and Loveland before I can really cement them as top 10, top 5 picks in our rookie drafts.
No, absolutely. And Warren was the one who just didn't want to participate, from what I understand. Loveland's hurt.
Yeah.
I believe that's what happened. But Arroyo didn't play either. And I was really shocked by that, because with Arroyo not practice or not competing in the combine, I really thought Harold Fannin Jr. was going to jump in and become the number 3 tight end like he was supposed to be originally, until the senior day. But Harold Fannin did not perform as everyone expected. So I think he's still probably 4, maybe 5 now, with Gunnar Helm falling as well. And then it's kind of just the top 3. And good depth, but the top 3 are the ones that really matter. And we didn't get to see, of course.
Yeah, where we thought you could wait on tight end and maybe take the 4th or 5th best tight end and still feel really good. Now it's probably you want to get your top 3 guys, and that's probably what you want to do strategy-wise.
Yeah, and I still think Warren's going to have good draft capital, so he should be okay. But
yeah, I don't know how that's really affected it. I think that there's lead prospects in college usually test well no matter what. So usually it's they always see eye to eye usually.
Right. So we'll move on from there. Like I said, tight ends weren't very exciting. However, the running backs showed up.
You guys, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm smiling.
I did not expect it to be like this. And I'll start this one.
Yeah.
Because there's one shock that I had. Now, I always thought Travion Henderson was going to be the number 3 back, okay, in fighting with Omarion Hampton for the number 2. But Trey Henderson, I heard, is his name now, barely ran faster than his counterpart, who is a bigger back, in Quinshon Judkins. I did not see this coming. I was shocked that he hit a sub 4.5. Yeah. Shocked.
Yeah, 6.221. And at this mock that we did a couple weeks ago where I took him as the 103, it further just the hype train. Yeah. It's
not bad. I was completely
wrong. And that's what I'm working on this year is I'm banking on people who have that name cachet. He does. He's popular. He tested well. And once again, his name's in the news again. And his name's going to come up again during the Ohio State day. And then it's going to come up again during the draft. His name's going to stay in the cycle, and we'll push him off draft boards.
And it worried me a little bit that Travion Henderson, he was still faster, of course, because he's a lighter back.
Yeah.
But that he didn't step out. And I thought he was going to run close to a sub 4.4, the way he was being talked about, and he didn't. So I'm a little bit worried about him now. He's probably falling a little bit on my board just because I was excited with his speed that I saw on tape or in games, you know what I mean? He was running away from everybody. Kind of like A-Chain, you know what I mean? But he didn't show up like A-Chain did in the combine. So
yeah, Henderson's going to regret not coming out last year. This class is just so deep and dominant. And someone like a Travion Henderson, that's where I've been hearing more and more. Get your second round picks, get your third round picks, because you don't know who's going to hit. But I think in this class, trading up doesn't make much sense unless you want the elite of the elite. But I think you're going to want as many shots as you can get.
But here's the thing, and this is kind of lead into what we're talking about later on. Who's the elite?
At this point, I think it's 1A, 1B with Genty and Amarian. I think Amarian did enough.
Amarian definitely impressed. 100%.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about him yet.
I mean,
I was really excited to see his combine and see what happened. And he is as fast as they say he is, man.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see it.
Yeah, I think once you have the rookie drafts come out, I think it's been Genty with the runaway, but depending on landing spot, I think kind of like last year, right? You had Marvin Harrison, and then you had Caleb Williams. Like they were, you could make the argument either way, right? And I think you're going to make the argument. Amarian's going to see 1-on-1s. I think you're going to see some Genty 1-on-1s depending on how you feel. I think there's an obvious tier break. Probably 1-on-1, 1-on-2 with Amarian and Genty, and it's everyone else. That's probably my new tier break is what I learned from this combine. And then kind of how you want to maneuver from there. I think RB3 is not going to be defined until the draft, with Caleb Johnson kind of disappointing with his speed. But yeah,
I know who I'm putting at the 103 or the third running back now. Maybe not the 103, but
Judkins.
If that speed is legit from Judkins, with that frame and how he sees the field pretty well as well, like with that Ohio State team, and he was good with Auburn too on a not as good team as the Ohio State, but dude, by far he'll be my number 3. Especially the way Caleb performed or showed up in the metrics.
Yeah. And honestly, wide receivers are just kind of meh. Like something to test. I don't know if you really need to go in depth them, but I think the tight ends and disappointing. The running backs overachieved, and quarterback, wide receiver are what we thought they are.
We got to say one thing about quarterback. My dude Dart showed out.
I think you'll see rookie drafts where Dart will go the QB2.
I think he's going to end up being the number 1 pick.
If he goes top 15, you can probably be the first quarterback off the board with the running ability. I don't think I'm getting him at the 112 anymore. With once again, some of the mocks we look back on, where did I take him? The 112. So definitely ahead of the curve. I feel good about that.
I thought we were going to be able to take him early second round.
Also, he's going to be so pushed up that I'm not going to want to be into him during come rookie draft. I'm not going to want to reach on him, and people are going to reach on him, and I think it's going to backfire.
And I have a question for you. Last question I'll have because we want to move on to our mock draft for the golf league here, which is the other thing we're doing. But Quinn Ewers had a really nice weekend or a really nice day. Does he move up at all for you, or is it still all about draft capital in your eyes?
I don't know. I'm going about the name cachet. Like, he's popular, but is he liked? I don't think so. What does he do well? Like, he had these great receivers, fast receivers, never really like crushed it. Overachieving, like Joe Burrow took advantage of the situation. Jaden Daniels took advantage of the situation. Quinn Ewers didn't. I don't think he's special elite.
I mean,
they statistics away. Like Jaden Daniels, Burrows, like with the receiving core, like they dominated like they should. He did not. Quinn Ewers, and like I think you're going to have some other guys be that QB3, QB4.
Okay, I mean, I can see that. I don't know if he's going to be – because he was like 7 or 8 from what I heard, QB, and I was shocked by that. But then it came out that he was injured this year and really played because he knew it was his last year with Arch Manning waiting. I think he would have went back to Texas if Arch wasn't there, to be 100% honest. And he did not have as good of receivers this year as he did last year, however – they ran into the buzzsaw that was Washington in 2023, 2024 year. But I've always thought he was one of the better quarterbacks coming out of this draft. And then it came out that he was injured pretty much all year, so he wasn't able to really throw that well, which why they didn't just play Arch was, I'm not sure. That's a Sarkisian thing, no one else. And the way he performed at the combine, he showed out just like Dart did.
Yeah.
we'll see what happens at the pro day. I think he's going to move up a little bit. I think you'll be able to get him in the third round of drafts or fantasy drafts. We'll see though.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah. So, like you said, the wide receivers were kind of meh. Jalen Noel was kind of the only one who really stepped up. And then the wide receiver from Texas had a really good day as well.
Golden, I think it's Golden.
Matthew Golden, yeah. They say that he kind of confirmed his spot to be a first-round pick, which I was shocked by. So we'll see what happens there. If he's a first-round pick, he's going to be a first-round pick in your draft, more than likely, or very early second. So that's a big sign too. But we are going to get into the main reason that we started talking today, which is our mock draft. We thought we'd do something a little bit different, kind of see using an actual league that we're in, looking at the teams and seeing who we would actually draft with those if we were in this spot for this team. So it's not just best available, it's also what do you need, which could change things as well. And I know it does in my eyes. So with that, we're going to start. I think we're going to do every 2 picks.
That works for me. Yeah, back-to-back picks. I think because that way there, because I have a lot of odd picks in this draft, so just the way, so I'm not making every pick for myself, or vice versa. So I think it would be good to do back-to-back, and but it's not going to be. But we're going to make decisions based off the team that we're drafting for's needs, and not just a random like mock draft.
Correct. And Jimmy just wants to do this because he wants my brain to pick for him. So
I'm okay
for the future. What was that?
I'm good. I don't need your brain.
So with the number 1 pick, I've been saying it since I think September, before we even had the podcast. I don't care what you need. Ashton Genty's the pick here. He is, in my opinion, the only stud after the way Tech has kind of fallen a little bit, which I was surprised about. But he is by far a stud. So definitely going to give you Ashton Genty, and that is your team, which has like 15 quarterbacks. So obviously,
I have more. I think you're lowballing the quarterbacks there. I think you're lowballing it there.
I actually do too. Thanks. So the next pick, looking at the team, they have their best quarterback is probably Will Levis, but they have Andy Dalton, Spencer Rattler, and Joe Milton, all backups. Which means I am going to have to do this and take Cam Ward.
That's what I would do if I was that team.
If this was best available, there's no way I would do that. However, this team needs a quarterback bad. They need a lot, but they need a
especially in a
quarterback.
14-team league. I say all the time, this is the cheapest way to acquire these players. And getting a quarterback,
is that he might have Will Levis as his best quarterback.
Yeah.
And Cam Ward might replace Will Levis.
Yeah.
So he still might only have one quarterback.
And even Levis isn't even guaranteed to start next year, no matter what. I agree. I think Ward there makes a lot of sense for him at the 102.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're up with the 103 here for Rich.
Yeah, this is another team that could use a quarterback. With Tua, Bryce Young as starters, not guaranteed past this year for Bryce Young or even to finish the year. He's got Bijan, Kemba Walker,
Kenneth Walker. We're not playing basketball.
I always call him. I can't get that guy's name out of my head. So he's got 2. Doesn't really have a third. Receivers: McConkey, McMillan,
Olave, JSN,
Jackson Smith. Yeah. So I think we can go a couple of different places here. So since he has 2 starters at quarterback, I'm not going to go there because I think that's more of a reach. I think he needs more help at receiver, so this is probably where I would add Ted McMillan here for him. But if I was him, based off team needs right now, I would go receiver, but I would still be fighting back and forth with quarterback because I still believe quarterbacks are going to be harder to find in this league. So I'm going to go Ted, but I could also see a world where he easily should have gone Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart here.
So this is a guy that I think should trade back. 100%. Because it's too early to take who I think he should take, which is Warren. Tyler Warren. Because, yes, his tight ends are okay, but he doesn't have a hammer. He doesn't have a really good tight end that I think you need in these leagues. But his wide receivers are startable. They're fine.
No difference maker, like no wide receiver one yet.
JSN is close, but
Close
we'll
enough,
see.
but
Olave, if he ever stays healthy, would be
yeah.
acceptable as well.
I mean,
But yeah, you're right. Right now, there's no number one. Running back wise, he has two starters, one that gets hurt all the time. We'll see what happens with Tajay Spears as well. So I agree with you. If I had to take this spot, I'd probably take a receiver, which would be Tet. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Tet, or I would definitely, or say quarterback. I would, if I was him, I could not trade back. I'd be wrestling with a quarterback versus a receiver a lot with this team because because once again he doesn't have any other picks and the way the quarterback market is going to fall off in this draft, he's not going to have one at the 203. So I'd struggle here quite a bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, I would definitely want to trade back if I'm him, but who has the capital that would want to come up other than you personally, Jim? I don't know.
Yeah. Which I don't. I mean, I don't think I need to trade up in this draft, but we'll see what happens on draft day.
Right. So number 4, go ahead.
This is where I'm probably taking quarterback.
I know you're wrestling. You got to take somebody.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take a quarterback here with the 104.
Okay.
When you have Enrich and Stafford as your starting quarterbacks, and probably Shador is probably going to Vegas, so you kind of lose Aiden O'Connell there. So Stafford is just not guaranteed to finish the year. Stafford's up there in age. I think this would be a good spot for him to take Shador at this time. I think that would make sense. He's got great running backs. He's got Coleman. He's got Shakir. Definitely needs help at receiver. If Ted didn't go at the 103, I probably would have gone receiver there at the 104. But since receiver's gone, I think I'll go quarterback here with Shador Sanders.
So you took Ted at 103, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Next up, we have the 105.
Me.
Is this you? Oh, it is you. Okay. So then you need everything.
Say it like that. You can say it nicer.
You need almost everything.
Okay, that's better. Thank you.
You have Mahomes.
Yeah. I have Rashid Rice. I have a staff.
You have Rashid Rice.
Yeah, who I'll trade as soon as he's healthy. So.
Right. So really, you're probably looking at best available. This is Amari and Hampton all day.
Can I cut it in real quick before you make the pick?
Yep.
Coming to a strategy here. This is where you really want to know, because I also have the 107, so I just want to do that disclaimer because it's I agree with the pick. Amari and him makes a lot of sense here, but also it's about who do I think Jeremy is going to pick at the 106 because who do I also think I can get at the 107? That's a part of the drafts that I wanted to make sure this comes out is that that know your league mates, know the picks. So I have the 105, 107, 109. So yes, when I'm making a pick at the 105, I'm also looking, okay, what picks does the 106 need, 108 need? Who do I need to reach on the 105 because I don't think they will be there at the 107 or 109.
So from what we know about Jeremy, he is going to be very safe with his picks. That's what he said before. That's how he's handled our mock drafts. Luckily, we've been able to mock draft with him, so we know this a little bit. So I think he would take Amari and Hampton if it's available. That's why you take him now. Also, there's multiple wide receivers you can take at 107 or 109. And it's kind of a cluster. You have Burn, you have Igbuka, you have Golden now, who's kind of jumped into that second tier. You could take the chance on Hunter. I don't know if, because you need so much, I don't think he takes Tyler Warren at 106, meaning that you would get possibly a wide receiver, Tyler Warren, and Amari and Hampton with the number 1 pick in Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
So you clearly change your team in one round.
Yeah,
now,
and
the other option, 1 second, Jim. The other thing is that do you want to take 2 running backs in the first 5 picks? Since it's your team, that's the only worry, especially with how your team is and how you need to revamp a lot of things. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is I would take Amari and Hampton because he's the best available, and this team needs best available no matter what.
And I'm looking at
Jeremy's team, and I don't have it up, but I believe he has Kincaid, if I remember correctly. So not a great tight end, but good tight end. So like, if Omarion falls to me, I think I could be a situation where like I take the best running back, and then you can make the case that Kraft. Okay, so like, and then you could make the case that I have one of the best running back rooms in the league before they. And that would make Jeremy very mad because they haven't played it down yet. I get that.
If he listens to this, he's going to go ape.
Yes. But, I mean, just based off hype and projections, like, I'm walking away with the two best running backs in the draft. Like, that's a big deal. And I can see both sides of it, but I agree. Like, I think if Amarion's there, I could not pass him up for the tight end when tight ends usually take longer till they produce and develop and hold their value and all those things.
Absolutely. And then with the 106, he needs a lot as well. But he does have two starting running backs at least in David Montgomery and Tracy. Kendry Miller, we don't know what he kind of is yet. And Jonathan Brooks hopefully will come off the bench at some point this year, be healthy. But we'll see. Wide receiver-wise, Brian Thomas Jr., Roma Dunze, who should have a bigger year this year, Cedric Tillman, who we'll see. So his team's not as bad as the record appears. He just had some injuries and kind of half-tanked to try to get a higher pick, which didn't necessarily work out for him at 106. But I would probably, because I think he needs just a piece, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially with McCarthy and Nix as your quarterbacks. We'll see what JJ does, but Bo Nix is a great number one for him. So young, and we've seen how good he was. So I would probably take best available, and best available is probably another running back, which is why you take Omarion Hampton when you do.
Yeah, and you can make the case for maybe a Jackson Dart here if he gets pushed up that high.
Maybe
with him.
Then you have Nix and or McCarthy or your first round pick on the bench.
Yep, and this is where you're hoping free agency will solve some of these issues for your team. And I mean, I could also make the case for maybe a Luther Burden here too, who is arguably maybe the wide receiver two of this class as well.
I will say this: if he takes a wide receiver, it's going to be Igbuka. We know that about him. He already took Igbuka above Burden a few times already this podcast. He loves Igbuka. He loves the idea of a pure route runner, no diva, going to be good for a decade. Doesn't have to be insane, but going to be good for a decade. That's kind of what I've gotten from him. So that's the other reason that you don't take Luther Burden at 105, if you were thinking that. So you're up. Yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd take. He would probably take Igbuka. I just looked at his team, and he does need a wide receiver. So I'm going to change that to Igbuka for the 106. So you are up with the 107, and it is for you.
Yay! I think this is where I probably, in our tight end premium, this is probably where I want to pull the trigger on Tyler Warren. I think that makes a lot of sense. I need one. I would have the positional advantage. Based off the combine, I think they're a little bit more scarce now. I think I'd be okay with Loveland or, whoever ends up, Arroyo. So maybe this is where like you're trying to find value in draft. Do I pull the trigger on the tight end one, or do I maybe go receiver here and then grab potentially the tight end two at the 109, depending on what the 108 needs. So for right now, I'm taking Tyler Warren at the 107. I think it's great value, tight end premium. And filling that void and having that advantage when I, start the season.
I love that move for you. Like I said, that's kind of what I would be thinking too, is Tyler Warren right there. I don't know if he falls to the 109. Looking at Hoop's team, however, there's a chance he falls to the 109, so you may want to take a wide receiver instead.
Yep. Because Nate has, does he have Kincaid? Who's Nate have there?
He has Andrews, Hawkinson, Musgrave doesn't matter anymore. Juwan Johnson, Ben Sinnott, who a lot of people are expecting to kind of make a little step this year. So tight end room.
You're making a lot of sense. I'm going to change my pick then because I think I can get him at the 109. I'm going to go I'm probably going to go Bird in there then and get the arguably the wide receiver 2 of the class. And gamble that worst case. If he's feeling crazy and goes Tyler Warren, then I could easily take Loveland at the 109. And I think I still feel very, very good about that.
Right, absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. And at this point, Hoops basically just needs a player. This is where we get into the playoff teams. So this is where I 100%, if I am him, I'm taking the running back. I don't really care what running backs he has. Judkins, I think, is going to be the number 3 running back after the combine, after what we saw on tape. And like you said, his name is everywhere right now. So I think Judkins at the 108 as the number 3 running back makes a lot of sense. I just took the pick. My bad.
Yeah, you're supposed to. I had Burden and I had the 107. Oh, did I? Did you take my? I have 107, 108. Yeah. You're fine. That's fair. I think running back makes a lot of sense. I know he needs running backs. He usually builds his teams like I do, which is running back last. So I think to get the RB3 at the 108 makes a lot of sense right now.
And he has good running backs. He just has questionable. What's Hubbard going to do? He's only done it for 1 year. Pacheco, what's going to happen with him? So this would be a safe pick for him because you can never have enough running back depth. And also it could be your flex position too. You at the 109, I believe, is what I have. And that is where you 100% get Warren. I said, I think Warren here is easy.
So what about Jackson Dart? This is where I'm like, I think this is where you start having those debates, right? Like, do you start reaching on the QB3 of the class of a weaker class that has hype, or do you lock in arguably the best tight end of the class? Like, I think that's where we're going to have to start having these debates of like, where are these quarterbacks going to go? Because it's a down year, but also it's a 14-team league. Like, I think, and Superflex. So those need to be conversations, right?
So this is the question that I would think for myself if I was in your position. Do I think I'm going to win this year or have even a playoff hopes this year? And unfortunately, I do not think that for your team.
You can say, you don't have to say unfortunately. You can say, I know, and I won't be hurt.
Okay. And next year, there is a large or a strong quarterback class so far.
Yeah.
From what we understand.
And I probably will have the 101 again.
Exactly. So I wouldn't worry about taking Jackson Dart here, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
And it's not just because I love the guy. I'm not taking him either, don't worry. But for you need players. You need guys who are going to play for a decade and be good. Or at least your 3 years that you worried about. And I think Warren fits that mold for you a little bit more than a quarterback who, yes, is going to be good. However, you're going to waste them for the first 3-4 years. Unless you make drastic.
And it's my second tip of the draft is like, the 110 coming up, and there's a QB on the draft that people are excited about. And in a QB needy league, like this is where like, hey, if I'm not on the clock, you better be making calls. You better be reaching out. You better be trying to get into the draft. If you're not in the draft, if you need a quarterback, like this is the moves that you should be doing behind the scenes when there's a quarterback that I don't know if he's falling at this point because I need draft capital to confirm everything. But
I think he's raising right now.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens after the draft. But
yeah, like after, like he's. I think there's a huge drop off after him in the quarterback market for this draft. So like this is where like, hey, you better like if you're not in this draft or you're the 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, like I'd be making calls and trying to move up. If I needed a quarterback, I'd be reaching out. What could I do to try to get into this draft? Because this is where like you're finding some great value right now too. So just because you're not in a draft does not mean that you cannot get into a draft.
That's a great point. Absolutely. So, like I said, if I was you, I like your idea of maybe trading back, getting a couple extra picks or something like that.
Yeah.
But Tyler Warren would be my spot right here because next year, stronger class. I think you're going to probably be the 101, 102. So
Yeah, I mean,
you
I
could
think
have an
there's some
option.
teams that could put me in the running because, like I said, I have some great assets now that I didn't have before. So, yeah, I'd be kind of curious. But this is where, like, I also have the 114. This is probably where I'd be trying to, like, what could I package together with the 114 to get up to maybe the 110, which is the next pick to maybe go take Jackson Dart and not wait around.
Well, I'm the 111, just so you know, so we can talk off air. But
yeah.
And you know how much I don't like picking. I just like to
Yeah.
have more assets. So, and with that, you are on the, or I think I have the 110.
No, I do. Because
Okay.
you just took the 108, 119.
Yeah, go ahead
right?
with the 110. No. Yep, I didn't want to pick my own, so go ahead.
So, give me some names of your team real quick because I don't have them up real quick.
Some people from Andrew?
No, like give me your quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Like, where do you feel like your team's at right now?
Oh, I don't need a quarterback. I possibly have 4 starters.
Okay.
Penix, May, Cousins, Fields, Mostert, Eckler, Pollard, Gibbs.
Okay. So one elite, question mark. Okay.
Lamb, Ayuk, Pickens, Downs, Bowers, Fryermuth.
Okay.
Don't forget, I was the number. Again, I'm going to say this. I was the number 3 overall points. So team's good, and I did sell a little bit, but we're looking for another piece. But you're missing the 110, by the way. The 110 is.
Yeah, and I think you're based off what I gathered. You have one elite running back, a bunch of like RB2s. You have one elite receiver with a wide receiver 2-ish and some other players. I'm gonna go home run here, and I'm gonna say Travis Hunter's playing receiver, and I'm gonna take him there for you there because if he hits, he fits exactly what you're missing, and if he doesn't, it's the 110. I think you can gamble the pick, and it won't hurt your team that much.
That is exactly my thought process right now. Until I hear where he might be locked in, the 111 is exactly where I'm looking at him. But you did skip Tandry. He's the 110.
Oh, crap. Okay. So, well, I asked you to give me teams, so give me Tandry's team then. Okay.
Purdy, Stroud,
okay.
Kamara, Chubb.
I wouldn't take Dart there.
Kamara, Chubb, Singletary, Swift, Kyron Williams, Keenan Allen, Chris Godwin, Cooper Kupp. 5 years ago, this team's insane. Terry McLaurin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. Yeah.
Okay. Dallas Goedert. This is probably where I would go Loveland. I think this would be a good place for Loveland. Maybe upgrade that tight end position because everything else seems like it's good to go, decent. No elite.
5 years ago, if we had this league 5 years ago, this team would win every year.
Yeah. So I probably would go Loveland here. I think fill that need with, Goedert's good, but not elite, and Loveland could be elite, and I think that would be a big missing piece for him. I mean, the other thing is, like, this is probably where I'd be trading this pick to buy points now versus taking hope on a tight end when your team is kind of ready to go. So, I mean, I think I would take the tight end because it fills the biggest hole, but also if I'm trying to win, I probably would not want to take a rookie tight end right now. So I'd probably be shopping to pick what could I buy, what points can I get on my team right now versus trading back or anything like that. That's probably what I would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'll take Loveland because I think that's the biggest need of that team.
Okay. I can understand that. I kind of like his tight end room, but he's probably one of the better players available, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, you could also take the RB4, probably feel really good too. And as well, so kind of just I think both positions are hard to, find that advantage. I think Loveland presents that. I think the RB4, whoever, Trayvon Henderson or whoever you think that is, probably is the same thing too. But for this exercise, I'll take Loveland here.
Okay, perfect. And then the 112, is pretty easy for me because it's the 102 Fallon. So I would probably, after taking a quarterback at number 2, I'd probably go back and take that number 4 running back or that number 5 running back. If you take Loveland here, I'll take Trevion Henderson.
You don't think Dart would fit his team more with the quarterback?
Well, probably
Cam Ward and Jackson Dart.
Cam Ward and Jackson Dart makes sense. I just don't like taking 2 quarterbacks in the same draft.
That's fair. I mean, that's a lot of risk,
especially a weak draft, weaker quarterback draft. So, I still think he's a year or 2 away. So, why not get? Have we used Luther Burden yet? By the way,
I took him. I took him at the 107.
Because if he was available, 100%, he'd be at the 111 or the 112.
Yeah, because I got Amari on Hampton, and then I think Burden, and then I got Warren at the 109.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So I'd probably go with, like I said, he's too far away. I think Jackson Dart's going to end up being the best quarterback in this draft, but that's just my personal opinion of watching.
I do think if JS takes both quarterbacks, it's basically saying I'm not going to be good for this upcoming year. I think, and then you would have to build your team around that mostly because you're not adding a lot of points. Rookies, they don't do well usually. So, and with the 3-week class, I think you just have to accept okay, this is not going to be my year, but I'm taking these quarterbacks for the future.
Right. Absolutely. So last 2 picks, you got Jeremy next.
Okay. Jeremy's taking Jackson Darts. He needs a quarterback. I think that makes a lot of sense that player would follow to him. I think he'd be dancing. He's probably dancing now, and he hasn't even heard this podcast because he just got to Jackson Darts. I think he'd be ecstatic.
You can telepathically figure it out, right?
Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense. And then for me at the 114, I'm probably just going to take the best quarterback or running back available. I think if Dart was there at the 114, I would take that pick. I think that'd be great for me because I do need eventually quarterback. So I think so I would probably just take the RB5, maybe a Caleb Johnson, depending on where he's affected. At this point I'm not sure who the running back 5 is because with Travion gone and Christian Judkins gone, but I'd probably just take another running back and really load up on that position.
Okay, so I have a question. One quick question for you. The only other player that I would really think about for your team is Matthew Golden. Probably going to be a first-round wide receiver, so we'll see about that. But what do you think about that?
Oh, I'm sorry, you cut out. You said over a first-round receiver?
Matthew Golden is projected to be a first-round receiver now.
I probably would go for a first-round player over a third-round running back, probably after getting Amari on and Genty. So I think the 114 is something I'm easy trying to trade out to the next year, or who's a first-round player that went, and I would just probably target that more than anything. So if Golden went or if another receiver pops up, I would probably go that route over like a third-round running back. But if there's another second-round running back out there, I probably would lean that more. So for sure.
Cool. All right, so I know you got to go. We went through our whole picks here, so hopefully this helps somebody, anybody here, especially if you have multiple picks.
Thank you.
But for Jimmy, I'm Mickey. This has been Dynasty from Mountaintops. Check us out on YouTube, Apple, and Podbean. Also follow us on Blue Sky, X, and Instagram at Dynasty Mountaintops. That's dynastymttops. And we'd also love to hear any feedback or ideas that people may have for upcoming shows or just in general, or I want to shoot as people say. We are at, you can email us at dynastymttops@gmail.com. It's for Dynasty Mountaintops at gmail.com. Again, for Jimmy, hopefully Jeremy's getting ready for vacation, all excited. I am Mickey. This has been Dynasty from Mountaintops, and have a great evening.